Oh dear.
Hello, everybody. We're back. It's been a while since we've seen the three of these faces.
I know.
I know. So, welcome to Always the Worst to everyone out there in internet land. I'm Chris. With me today, as always, is Mark and Michael. Well, not always. This is a new experience.
I know. It's weird being back. It's like,
Where have you been?
where have I was in a weird sort of void, where time is just irrelevant.
Well, to be fair,
I was
your
at work. I was back at work.
Your work doesn't have clocks, so that
It has one clock because that's the limit of the minimum they need.
Is that to stop people like understanding
Checking
how
the
much
time and
they've
stuff.
spent in there?
Yeah.
Wow,
How nuts is that?
that's actually crazy.
It's terrible. There's one at the cash desk because they always need a note of the time for signing things in and out. But that's it.
Fun times.
That is creepy as hell. I love it.
That's
Little
an,
facts that no one else knows, right?
that's an episode of Black Mirror. That's what it is.
Don't.
Right,
I've seen
so-
one episode and I'll never get back to it.
So here's the thing. So your casino, does it
Yes.
have like that aircon thing where it pumps in oxygen to make sure that everybody stays longer? Because that's an American thing where they'll actually put in Frex oxygen so that you don't want to leave.
Frex oxygen.
Frex
Good
oxygen.
old Frex brand oxygen.
It's like the Perrier in Spaceballs.
It's America. Of course, they're gonna have a brand for it. For God's sakes.
No, we do not pump in Frex oxygen. We just
Carbon
let everyone
monoxide.
boil and die. Especially the staff. We're just like in full like black attire besides our white shirt, and we all roast. It's 90% polyester.
Wow.
Nice.
We're stepping under the wrong light away from actually catching fire.
Well,
Right,
it's a good thing
okay.
it's black, so you can't see the pit stains, huh?
Except for the shirt, which is white. So
Well, there we go.
Awesome.
Ruined it.
the flop sweat on my forehead kind of gives it away.
Welcome.
So I'll give people a quick rundown of where we've been in general.
Yes.
You guys started working again and ruined it for everybody. So I had to get a job because you guys were working. So I didn't
we
want to be
showed you
alone.
up.
Yeah. Like, Chris, you have to be an actual human. You know.
How dare people have jobs in this economy? What's wrong with you all?
I know, right? Why can't I go just live in a hill? I went and did a test run today of living on a hill, and it was good. It was a good.
Did you find one to die on?
Yes, yes, I did. I stay next to one to die on.
Nice.
I get to look at it every day, the Campsies. So
Convenient.
yeah, it's like a 2-minute walk. Like, there we go. At least I know where I'm going.
I've not been up the Campsies in ages.
Honestly, neither have I. Last time I went up the Campsies, I didn't stay here. It was like with my pal Kyle, because his house actually is on the Campsies. So you leave his back garden, and then it's like just farmland, and then it's Campsies. That was the last time I went up. It was a good walk. It was lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to
See
do
any
it again.
daughters?
No, sadly not. There was nothing that entertaining.
No.
No.
I think that. I don't know if people are still into that these days. Now that they've just got full voyeurism on the internet, but you never know.
I know,
Some people
right?
like the classics.
I know, right? It's like, just because of the way things are, it's like, I think people's convenience of just, videoing, doing stuff would take over because they're just lazy. Like, that means we have to meet up and drive somewhere, and then...
It's kind of like they're bringing back drive-through cinemas because of COVID, so they might do the same for.
I just love the queue of doggers because it's like a time limit thing.
Yeah.
And there's just a couple of guys in like full high vis gear and stuff, making sure that the the meter restrictions are in place between everybody.
It's like the people doing the act have to wear the plastic face masks, just steaming up nuts.
It's just somebody chatting the window going, "Can you scan our QR code for track and trace, please?"
Oh man,
Yeah.
What a world! What a world!
It is a strange world we live in. So, also, we were going to talk about Batman today, but
We were.
Michael was. I'm guessing you were on night
This is
shift
like
last night.
Michael, right?
No, I'm off this week.
Oh, right. So why the hell didn't you watch it?
I was going to watch it.
But you
was
said you
gonna
might
watch
not
it.
have time. And then I
I
went,
was
I'll
going
be...
to watch it. I was going to watch it today, right? So don't fucking right. Let's go back a whole second. because you were like, we're gonna watch Batman Returns, and last night I was like, right, cool. I can't watch it tonight. I'll maybe watch it tomorrow. So just folks are around. I'll maybe find time in the afternoon. And I was trying to plan it out. Maybe. But I was like, I could make it work. And then Chris was like, oh, Mark had the idea that we could just do a catch up. And I was like, right, cool. Don't need to watch Batman anymore.
Because I was
now you're pinning this on me that I didn't want to watch Batman.
I was doing it
words
for.
In my mouth.
I was doing it for you. That's what it was. I was doing it for you. I was like, do you know what?
Yes.
If he's not got some time, I started watching it and Roshin walked in, and it was the penguin eating a cat. She went, I don't want to watch this, and just wandered off. I was like, yes, that's a fair assessment of that. I forgot about that bit. Just like very quickly on it, I forgot about how mental the penguin's childhood was in that film. That is nuts.
What I find crazy is his dad in Batman Returns also comes back and plays the dad of the Penguin in Gotham.
Oh,
Does he?
Yeah. It's Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman's the dad in Batman Returns and in Gotham.
I don't. Maybe I missed it in Gotham. What was it in the first 2 seasons? Because I didn't watch anything after that.
I think it might have been season 3. He comes back like right at the start of that season, and the like Penguin gets like a brief moment of stability before everything like goes to shit.
Because like I remember watching Gotham and being like, oh, season 1, this is quite cool. It's like a crime drama. And then like season 2, and it was like, we caved to the comic book fans. Here, have this absolute god awful pish. Like, bye. And then I looked at the trailers for the next 2 seasons and went, oh, it got worse. How was that possible?
It got far worse. And there was season 1 did something really cool, and it was like, we're gonna bring in this character who's, you know, he could be the Joker. He looks like he's going to be the Joker. And then he dies, and you're like, right, cool. But they end that episode amazingly, and they're like, they give it a monologue. It's like, he's not the Joker. He is a legacy. He's a legacy that's going to live throughout Gotham. And that left everything with ambiguity. And there was a kid, right at the end of the episode, a kid picked up a little red mask. And I was like, that's good. That's a nice nod. Stick with that. And then a couple seasons later, they're like, let's bring back that guy who was the Joker. And let's have him staple his face back on and stuff. And you're just like, no.
But then, even then, apparently, he doesn't end up being the Joker again.
Nope, because he has a twin brother.
Who is the Joker?
Like, they murder Scarecrow. Scarecrow is just like, he's a kid who's experimented on by his dad. Mm-hmm. And then later on, he's told to make the fear toxin by a bunch of gangsters. And instead, what he does is he gets locked in a cupboard with a Scarecrow, and he just takes the Scarecrow's clothes off, puts them on himself, and he's like, I'm the Scarecrow now. And you're like, what have you done? What have you done to my boy?
Yeah. I do love how someone decided somewhere at a meeting, they were like, it'd be a really good idea. Remember Muppet Babies? Like, see if we just did that, but for like Batman?
Yeah.
Somehow that's where we ended up. Yep.
I've never watched it, so I am just sitting going, I'm never going to watch this now.
You should, just for the cringe, right?
Okay.
It's next level. Like, because they caved to everything the fan base wanted throughout the entire thing, including the people who were like, let's ship the Riddler and Penguin as a couple, and like, and they were like, cool, let's do that. Let's see how it lands. See if the audience like it.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Oh my god, that's so stupid.
It's just they were. I mean,
it's like you ever get statements somebody says to you, and you actually have no words. You just don't know how to respond. Like that was a moment that I never usually have, where I have nothing to say. Like I just want to walk away. Like that's that moment. Have any of you guys been watching anything interesting then you would like to discuss?
What about not really. Chef Show brought out another season a couple days ago.
Oh, I haven't got around to watching that yet. Like I saw it was added, and I was like,
yeah, I was loving life with that because that's still one of my favorite shows. We recently finished watching Agretsuko season 3.
Oh yeah,
it's good. Always good fun.
Agretsuko is one of those shows that's like, it's universal. It's so weird how like it appeals to everyone because it's just about the monotony of life and working in an office and hating everything around you and just wanting an outlet.
kids can watch it because it's like funny animals who are screaming and doing the metal and stuff. But then she's like, I hate my office job, and you're like, wow.
Yep.
But so, how familiar are you guys with Vine actors or Vine stars?
Yeah,
Kind of, yeah.
So, do you remember Prosed? Yeah.
Yes.
So Prosed was like a kind of. This is going to sound terrible. He was like an Asian guy, but he was relatively chubby, and a lot of his stuff was just like mocking anime and video game tropes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's one of the actors in it.
Yep.
Cool.
It's like because he did basically a whole bunch of vines to make fun of anime voice acting and how stupid it was and all how the characters worked, but in doing so, he actually worked on his voice acting quite a lot until he became a really good voice actor, and people were just like, we kind of want to hire you, and he's like, oh, okay.
It's great how stuff like that works out for a lot of people.
Yeah,
one of the better Vine stories, you know, because you have most of the Vine people that go on to become famous on YouTube are assholes.
Yep.
Like full on massive assholes, because that's where the Logan brothers came from, if I remember correctly.
They were Viners. Yeah,
they were Viners. Because you know what's weird about them on Vine? They were actually funny. They were kind of funny back then.
Do you know what it is? It's that limitation, isn't it? It's like it forces artists to come up with something more creative, because you can't go out to Japan and film a dead body if you've only got 5 seconds, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. And it was like one of my favourite ones, and it went on to do nothing, was Marlon Webb, the Watermelon guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was so funny, and I've watched his YouTube channel, and he's just like, we are going to react to other things on YouTube. And I'm like, yeah, bollock.
It makes the money. That's
it does.
That's
what kills me.
The formula just doesn't support people who are actually being creative and making things. Like, that's why animation died on YouTube. That's why like comedy, film skits, all that stuff is dead in the water.
It's like I'm starting to notice that with things like Funhouse, where they're still funny, but they've lost an edge that they used to have. See, because their humour was very on the line of like, but it's funny because it gets close to the edge. But now, because of things, and they're owned by Warner Brothers now, you're watching the humour dilute.
Yeah.
Where you're seeing like everything changing. And it's kind of odd to see on YouTube, because you used to see that as the kind of free bastion for comedy, where that's where you would go if you wanted to put something up comedy-wise.
Yeah.
You go to YouTube.
Your options are you can still do that, but you're not going to be monetized. And obviously, the only way you can do that properly now is by having financial backers from another place, like your own Patreons or whatever else. And even then, it's like, why am I even using fucking YouTube at that point? Like, I might as well just post it straight to my own website.
Do it like a Patreon thing, and then like your YouTube thing is like it goes up once a month of the free content. This is Patreon's already seen this 3 months ago. I'm gonna now release it to the world and not give a fuck. It's like on the note of that, like Joe Rogan's podcast on Spotify is causing nothing but headaches now, because some execs want to take off some of these episodes because they do not align with some of the values of some of the higher up employees. So they've had 10 meetings since Joe Rogan's went to Spotify, right? They want to try and censor stuff, like put trigger warnings, cut bits of the episode out, and all these things.
They do know what podcast they bought, right?
Right, but you know what's the best part of all this is, see the exec that went, we're going to get Joe Rogan's podcast, like the high up guy, one of the tippity tops of Spotify went, nah, we can't take Joe Rogan and then dilute him. It doesn't work. Because what he'll do is he'll just go, fine then. The minute he gets to like the end of the year contract or whatever, he's like, bye guys. And then they've lost the whole reason it become the Spotify channel.
Even then, it's America. You can just claim breach of contract on anything. Like, they didn't bring your water on time and that's it. It's like, keep my $1 million and bye.
Yeah. So it was a really odd one to read the stories, because I was going, every episode did have a trigger warning.
Yeah, because it's free and open discussion. It's not going to be aligned to anything, because that's what he does. He intentionally gets guests that usually have opposite views of whatever he's thinking and wants them to discuss and talk about it. So you're going to get everything on there.
Yeah. It's one of the weird ones. Love or hate him, his format's brilliant because he's willing to listen to people that most of us would go, you're an asshole. You're a fucking big C word. You know, but he's like, you need to hear that side to know why they're a C word, you
Yeah.
know. And then he usually has his decision at the other end. Yep, you're a C word.
Because I think this is kind of like a attitude nowadays about not giving platforms to these people, right? And I understand the concept behind it, but at the end of the day, they do a better job at making you not believe them than you would by censoring them.
Yeah.
Like listening to these people for 5 minutes, you go, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like you're a fucking idiot." But if you suppress them and cancel them, that gets other people railed up. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god!" Like if they're keeping them down, it must be true, you know? Like,
Basically, the best example of that was Ben Shapiro, when he was on the BBC with, I think it's not Andrew Marr, it's the older political commentator in the morning.
Yeah, I've actually seen that one.
So good.
So good.
If you don't know who he is, to anybody out there, he is full-on Tory Conservative backer. And he makes no qualms of letting everybody know he's a Tory Conservative backer. That's his whole thing. He's a political commentator, and he does a lot of interviews with both sides. And Ben Shapiro went and called him left-wing because he didn't look into him. And he's like, if you knew anything about me, you would know I am the opposite of left-wing. I am the most right-wing kind of person you'll ever know. And it's so funny because he wanders off in a huff and then discredits everything he's said ever since. See, any of the stuff that was kind of rational doesn't matter now. You've made an absolute fool of yourself to the point that you don't need us to cancel you.
It's like, yeah, because Ben Shapiro, if you just let him talk for more than like 20 mints, you understand how much of a fucking knob he is, right?
Yeah,
it's so easy. Like that's all you have to do is just give him a platform, and people are just like, look at him, look at this fucking idiot.
Yeah, exactly. It is nuts. Other controversial news I'd like to bring up. I watched Terminator Dark Fate. Me and Donna watched Terminator Dark Fate.
Holy shit! Which one's that?
That's
It's
the one where
one, right?
it's the one with Arnie in it. I mean, the one with Sarah Connor in it. I mean, the original Sarah Connor's in it. There we go.
Right.
We got there in the end.
Because like the plots differ so much between the movies, it's so hard to like tell them apart. All the time, isn't it?
Oh, I know, right? Like this one doesn't have. I couldn't believe they done it. I actually can't believe they done it. So, base storyline is everything from Terminator 2 hasn't happened, and I'm going to spoil this because I don't give a fuck. It's shit.
Okay.
Pure rubbish. That doesn't happen. And then what happens is we are in like some South American country on a beach. Sarah's there. Young Sarah Connor is there. Pretty banging CGI, by the way, in this. See, for these bits, spot on deep fakes. You have young John Connor, like the actor, and it doesn't look CGI'd. Like I watched it, and went, oh, that's fucking spot on. Then Terminator, because it turns out the Terminators just sent more people back. So there's another Terminator, like Arnie Terminator, comes back with sunglasses on and kills John on the beach. Sarah goes nuts, runs away, and all this nonsense, right? Flash forward to now. Now we're here, and it goes to South America again because there is a lassie called Danny, who the Terminators are after. Why do you think the Terminators are after Danny?
She's the new John Connor.
It's actually her that made Skynet.
Oh my god! See, no, she's Sarah Connor. She gives birth to the new leader of the Resistance. I'm sure. No, she doesn't. You're right. She is John Connor. See, even
Oh,
after,
right, okay,
yeah, she
thank
was.
God.
She became John Connor. I know,
My
right?
brain.
Because there's a new Resistance, and this is where things get really annoying for me.
Are we
because
talking? She's John Connor, as in like Scooby Doo mask reveal, or are we talking?
No. She's
she...
the new head of the Resistance, but it's a
Right,
different
okay.
Resistance
She's
because
the new John Connor. Right?
So it's like what's that term again? Where like things have to happen despite whatever you do. Like it's like inevitability of some sort. Like
kinda.
they tried to destroy the machines and made sure that they wouldn't be there in the future, but it didn't work because they found a way to come back. The Judgment Day still happened, and if they try and defeat John Connor will rise again. Yeah.
Predetermined. The Donna's put it in the chat there.
Yeah.
Kinda, but the thing is, the machines are different. They've got a different name. Donna, if you remember what the machine AI thing's called, please let us know because I can't remember. But they're not. But they make.
Google.
But they make Terminators like actual. Because Legion, they're called Legion, not something that happened in Mass Effect or anything. Was what I say. Yeah. But yeah, they do that, and
Red Dwarf.
And Red Dwarf. There you go. The thing that annoyed me was they had hunter killers. See the kind of hovercraft ones that went looking for people. Even though it's a completely different AI that came about in a completely different way, they still had HKs. And then they still had Terminators that done the same things as normal Terminators, but now instead of having just a liquid one, he's liquid and a skeleton, so he can detach from the skeleton. And I'm like, and then there's a person that's came back, like Kyle Reese.
You sound like you're giving us the pitch meeting, and like there's going to be a robot, and he's going to have like liquid skeletons, and it's going to come off, and it's going to be like.
Right, so some of the big points is they send somebody back that's like Kyle Reese, but she's an augmented human now.
Oh.
So she's kind of like half Terminator, like they did in Salvation, but this time the good guys make her. And she is the most boring protagonist, savior person ever. The film only gets good when Arnie's in it again. So see the Terminator that killed John leaves because he's got no mission left, goes and gets a family. He becomes an adopted dad and stuff. He adopts a wee boy, and he learns a consciousness, and he's a good guy now. He's just an actual good guy, and he's the best bit of the film, and it doesn't make sense, but he's the best bit of the film.
Is this the Arnie that we saw in the trailer? He's the one that went off and made a family.
Yes,
the one that, being a robot, managed to grow a beard somehow.
Yes,
artificially aged as well.
Yeah,
like.
I'll give him his due. He looks good in this film, though. He does look good. He looks good in it. I'm like, good for you, Arnie, getting back into shape. But man, it doesn't make sense.
So everybody, welcome back to Always the Worst, the podcast where Chris only ever likes the first 2 films in a series and none of the other ones.
Yes.
Hang on. How does a like skeleton with no like internal biology have like cellular degeneration?
You're getting into questions that
you're asking questions that should have been asked
surely
years ago.
No,
it was just like a synthetic skin they put over the top, right? And it would never age.
No,
unless
it's actual humans proper thing.
Well, then it would die in the first 3 seconds because it's got no blood.
No, but this is the other problem. The reason they said that it's got this real human stuff over it was so they could send them back in time, because metal can't come back in time, yet they send a liquid metal one back in time twice. Because that's why they can't have their guns, because you can't send nothing metal back.
Chris. I think it's impossible to get angry at these films anymore, right? We can just we have to understand that they never made sense and they never will make sense. That's why 1 and 2 worked, because they don't explain anything.
Yes, it's meant to try,
but you don't need to.
Yeah,
exactly.
The thing was having Linda Hamilton back as Sarah Connor. Oh my god, I remembered her name suddenly. As Sarah Connor was grand for 5 minutes. I felt like they had this kind of comedy thing going on through it, and I was just like, the reason the comedy worked with 1 and 2, well, especially 2, it was because it was a robot trying to act human, and it was funny because it didn't make sense, because it's him trying to smile and stuff, and that was funny, and there was a kid involved. Now the other way around is, the main protector woman has got no personality, and she's not a robot, so it doesn't make sense. So yeah, we watched that, and I'm very annoyed.
Wow, that was a lot of anger.
Yeah,
I feel bad for you, man.
It's been my only anger in 2 weeks. Like that was the only thing it's angered me.
You should just like never watch any Arnie sequels ever. Like it should just be just
so true.
Cancel it straight away. Just like as soon as the something's out, it's like, oh, Arnie was in the. Never mind.
To be fair, he carried that film, and it's one of the things of realization.
But carrying a garbage bag doesn't make you any.
But it's that thing of Arnie of going, he's not a good actor, but he oozes charisma to the point where he knows exactly what he is in his films, and he doesn't try to be anything other than what he is, and I like that. Where everybody else is trying to be, up there. I mean, it's like, mate, you're in a shitty action film, just be the shitty action star.
Yeah.
So,
well, only thing I can think I've been watching that actually stand out. I've been watching The Boys season 2. You've been watching that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
not, all yous?
Yeah, just not today's episode.
Not today's episode. No, I've not seen it.
I haven't seen 5 or 6. I started watching 5 and I fell asleep like most of the way through it. So that wasn't like because of the episode. That was because I was like still in night shift mode. So
okay,
I do need to go back and watch that.
Yeah,
but yeah, thoroughly enjoying it.
It's a nice change of pace in this one, I think.
Yeah.
It's trying to kind of give every character like their own time to breathe and like establish their motivations and what they're all about. And it's like, even if they're absolutely awful, terrible people, like which most of them are, it still gives you a chance to see like the slightest little hope of like humanity within them, which is just
It's lovely to watch.
it's so nice. Like, yeah.
I have the character arc I've enjoyed the most is the Deep. Watching him trying to fix himself is beautiful because
It's fucked up. It's not right.
yeah, but he feels sincere on trying to actually be a better person. Like he actually feels sincere like that way of going, oh man, it makes you look at things that weirdly and you don't, if it's uncomfortable, but you go, he realises he's fucked up royally with how he's been with females, and then you find out why he is, and you're like, wow, that is deep for a show like this.
Yeah. But I love the fact that everyone's just like, shut the fuck up, Deep. Like, no one's a fuck.
Just
like,
summon a dolphin or something and just go.
Like, yeah, I'm so glad that you fixed all your emotional issues, but just fuck off. Like, good for you.
Yeah.
I have never watched Breaking Bad, and I probably never will to this day. However, Giancarlo Esposito in this show is fantastic.
So good.
See that episode 1 where Homelander goes up and says, "What do you think you're doing? Assigning I'm in control of the Seven," and he just stands his ground, stares him down, and just says, "You're not what this company makes. This company makes a drug that makes you." And it's just like,
Yeah.
I love that idea. Like, because when you think about it in your head, you're like, what can this guy do? Because like, obviously, was her name Madeline? Was that what she was called?
Yes.
The first season? Yeah. She just thought she was beyond reproach and could be destroyed, and she got fucked up. But like, he just stands there and just goes, no, just no. And you're like, oh, don't bait him.
Yeah.
Like,
but that's the thing. This is when you realise Homelander is just a petulant child. So the minute he gets an actual firm hand, doesn't matter if it's superheroes or not, he becomes a child again because he's never had to be a grown up. It's quite interesting to watch. I did something stupid, and I hope they don't do it in the show. I looked up stuff about Black Noir because I was curious about him, and I found out something.
For the comic book. Yeah. I'm not too sure if they're going to be doing like the comic book because a lot of the stuff that was in, like, I've only ever read the first full volume of The Boys. I never read anything afterwards because Garth Ennis just ends all these things with buggery, like that's his plot device or something. I don't know. They're not very good, right? Okay, don't read anything Garth Ennis writes.
Okay,
but this show kind of like is just diverted completely.
Good.
Like they understood like the idea of it, and they were like, yeah, we have Garth on board as like someone who's done the writing, but he's 100% happy that we are not following his thing. We're just taking his established world and moving it forward in our own way. So they could change everything because they have changed a good few things so far. Like Stormfront is completely different, and it's for the best so far. I quite like how the Stormfront is working out.
It's really cool. It's actually a really interesting storyline with horror and stuff. But yeah, I hope they don't do the original idea of Black Noir. And I'm not going to say what it is actually, in case they do, and then I've just ruined it for a lot of people. But I feel like that's just going to be such a better taste in this version.
Yeah, I think that
I like Michael sitting there going,
There's a lot of stuff.
Well, I haven't looked it up, so
it just wouldn't fit. There's a lot of stuff that just wouldn't fit. Like, and I'm glad they've avoided quite a lot of it. I mean, you haven't even seen any of like the, what are they called again, the O-Men or whatever, like the X-Men parody, who are like just a freaky weird sex cult type thing. They're not in it.
Because in the comics, do they not have like a sex festival orgy thing? Like I read about that. And I was like, what? Like what? Like, so they go to a big superhero sex orgy. They kind of hint at it with the club in season 1 with the idea they all go here to superhero pump. So yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Michael, have you caught up with God of High School?
No.
Talk about Lou Boo.
Oh god, what was the last episode? I'll find out right now what the last episode I watched was, and then we can. What was the last episode I watched? Last episode I watched was episode 10.
So
What does that mean to you?
okay, I think that's your two behind.
Yeah.
I found out something really interesting about God of High School. They mocap all the fighting.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
I guess, obviously, because you've got Crunchyroll Premium, and I'm a peasant who has to watch it with ads. Because my girlfriend won't pay for my premium. I'm a filthy peasant who has to watch it with ads. So in the ads, you actually see them like mocapping the fights and storyboarding it as well.
So cool,
and it looks brilliant. And I can imagine that making the fights look a lot better in the TV show. Obviously, having all the different fighting styles as well and trying to incorporate as much as possible. I'm still absolutely living for Commissioner Q, I think he is. The one with glasses and the Joker. Yeah.
He's cool.
Yeah.
The thing for me is, see them doing the mocap suit stuff, the weight behind everything, because then they go just full anime with it. So they do the mocap for the close combat and then go, right, we're going to do this, but you're going to fly in the air, because the mocap's just to give the animators a basis, so they can still do anime flying about. But unlike Dragon Ball Z, you don't get repeated movements. Every movement feels like someone trying to hit someone, and it's really cool. It's like a choreographed scene, and I'm like, I hope that becomes more of the norm and kind of battle animes. That'd be so cool to see.
Yeah. No, I'm still really enjoying God of High School. I was talking to you the other day about it. They are coming out with a dub at some point. I don't know when, but they are doing a dub of it. And Veronica Taylor is going to be what's her face? Mira. She's going to be the voice of Mira. Veronica Taylor, the voice of Ash Ketchum's mum and Pikachu. And also several other things, but
great credits.
I know.
To be fair, our voice is probably more famous than everybody in the world just because of Pikachu, though.
Yeah. That is iconic, to be fair.
It is. The only other things that's been on my watch list has been social media documentaries and maybe get rid of social media. And I don't think I'm getting my social. I'm not think I'm going to get Twitter on that back. I think I'm going to be deleting my personal Twitter and everything and whatnot.
Bye, Chris.
Goodbye forever.
If anyone wants
that
to
means
fight
you
Chris,
won't exist in the world.
You can get him up the campsies, and he's just hiding over there.
Yeah. It's like what?
Listen to these rants.
What I'll do is, there we go, ready. Oh, there goes my Twitter handle. It's gone forever.
But you still have to post the always the worst.
Yeah, I still need to keep that. No, I was thinking about it. So, off topic on because we talked about films a lot. It's been about 2 weeks since I've actually posted anything on Twitter or even looked at Twitter. The only times I've looked at it is for the updates of COVID, because I get a quicker update on Twitter than I do just Googling it. Because the first thing they do is they tweet it out. And do you know, see, my stress levels and my anxiety levels are gone. Completely gone. It's been an interesting experience because I don't have Instagram on my phone anymore either. So I've still got my accounts, but I don't check them anymore. And it's weird. It's like I'm bored. So I need to find stuff to do instead of just scrolling through things. So it's been quite cool. Hence why meditation, yoga, gone out like 2-hour walks and stuff. Because I actually have shit all else to do. Because I don't have nothing there to occupy my time.
Like, is that a thing that a lot of people do, is just sit and scroll? Because, like, I tend to only ever do that if I'm, like, jumping into bed and I'm not quite tired and I just look at some shit for half an hour or an hour. Like, I don't know, like, and then fall asleep. I never really give a fuck the rest of the day. I mean, maybe I check stuff if my phone vibrates, but
that's a really healthy attitude to have, but most people don't. Like, I will put my hands up. I am a scroller. Like, I will happily just sit and just do this all day through things and nonsense and realise I've just lost 45 minutes out of nowhere. And it's like I've done it, and outside of this week I've had to have my phone on loud. My phone's been on silent and just left in rooms because I've got no reason to look at it. But it's an odd thing. What it is, it's almost like a comfort food where you don't have to worry or do anything. It's such a nice distraction of the world. So getting rid of it is weird because you'll do this a lot. I do this a lot, just like, and then look at it knowing that there's nothing going to be there because I've got the habit of just looking. So It's
Right.
almost like retraining my brain to get addiction away, because that's what it is. It's like a pure addiction to keep going. I want to check. I want to check. I want to check. It's really odd.
Yeah.
But it's been interesting. Very interesting experience of letting go of this idea of putting every thought online. Because I was quite vocal on Twitter, not in any bad way. I was just tweeted quite a lot in that, and I'm just like,
Why does the word vocal someone have a negative context?
Yeah.
Here? How dare you speak about things that interest you or you have an opinion on?
exactly. But see, not being like that, suddenly needing to think internally, it's been really odd instead of everything. Because
Do you know what I like in that kind of like respect is not texting your significant other, like never messaging them and anything like that, because you're gonna see them, right? So have the conversation in person, talk about the stuff you saw that day and the things you were interested in, because otherwise you're just gonna both just sit there and just look at your fucking phones because you've got nothing else to talk about because you've already said it all.
yeah, exactly.
It's like, sometimes it's good to just let things lie for a bit. Remember when you had to dial a phone and hope the person?
No. It's when you have to go in for them, and then have that one where you chat the door and it's like, is Donna in? Who the fuck are you? You're like, oh no.
Hey, like after the last time we mentioned that, and Duncan turned up at my house that night, like just fucking chapped the door. Like, all right, I'm like,
Yeah.
Duncan, you are lucky I'm wearing trousers.
Yes.
Like, get in.
I am.
So funny.
But I think again, too many documentaries, man. It's all about this perfect persona that you shove out.
Like, I think like documentaries are toxic as well. Though I think that in reality, a lot of documentaries, whether or not they look like they are usually pushing an agenda of some sort. And it's
how often do we find ourselves speaking to someone who has uttered the phrase, "I watched this documentary that said," and then something from there, and it's like, fair enough if you want to watch a documentary, but don't be one of those people that falls into that pitfall trap. Oh, I watched this documentary this one time that actually said that apples can slowly kill you if you have more than 10 a day, and you're like, well, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I think they should inspire you more to like do more research. Is the idea behind documentaries? You should look into the facts from wherever you can, like from that point.
For sure. It just made me delete
Because I mean,
social media.
if you believed every documentary though, like you'd be a vegan, you'd be living off the grid.
You would live out in the Campsies.
Yeah. Like there'd be nothing happening. I don't know.
And like, I like obviously Chris's approach of like, you've watched these documentaries and then you're trying and testing the method of like limiting your social media, almost eliminating it completely, but you're still like, you're working your way towards it. And this is kind of a different documentary. It's like, I get, obviously you've come with the observation that it's an addiction. So if you saw like an anti-smoking documentary, you'd be like, well, I best fucking quit smoking then, shouldn't I? Maybe it depends.
Maybe if I started smoking first. It's like, well, I need to go start smoking, and then I'll stop smoking.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, guys, just stop smoking. Watch this documentary. To be like, fuck, man, you're right. Like, I should have done that.
Listen, if the pictures on packets of cigarettes won't do it, then just give it up.
The way I see it is, 9 times out of 10, what would happen is, see if you're looking for something. Is this the idea of validation? You want to validate your thoughts. So, say you're vegetarian and you're toying with the idea of veganism. What you're going to do is you're going to type in the word vegan into Netflix and find something that validates your thought process as the problem.
Yeah, that's the one.
And then it can happen another way. So, for like me, I was always a bit of a dick when I was younger about the people who were vegetarian, and I wasn't. And I was like, well, you've been a dick. Like, you're just being a dick. You've got like that attitude. But again, I would just watch the stuff that would validate the idea of, no, you need to eat meat, you need to do this. They would do the exact same. And then that's your tribal thing, where you don't try to understand, you try and attack, and then they're stuck defending. It's this really odd time, because you only ever look at the stuff that does what you want it to do.
Yeah, like, have you watched Joe Rogan recently?
Was it about the trans community stuff? Because
no, I was talking about whatever you were talking about. Like, Jenny Kleeman was on it, right? And she does like investigative journalist stuff type stuff. I think she does it for Vice, so I mean, take it with a pinch of salt. But she was on there and they were talking about veganism and that kind of stuff, the back and forth of it, and like it came across at one point. It was kind of like Joe was arguing for meat eating and she was arguing against it, and she's like, by the way, just so you know, like I'm coming across like a major hardcore vegan right now, but I eat meat all the time. Like I don't know why I'm backing up this argument so much, but I just wanted to be on the opposite side so both sides got heard. And he's like, yeah, and I agree with you. That's the best thing to do is to hear everything about it. But she does this stuff where like she finds something that she has no fucking clue about and then just invests herself into that lifestyle for as long as she can to kind of get as much information out of it. It's
one
really
of
cool.
the best ones of Joe Rogan when I heard about that. It's weird. God, it's weird how he's such a cultural point when you talk about almost any topic because he's had somebody talking about it. Remember that there's a documentary on Netflix and it's about vegan athletes, and there was an MMA guy who went vegan, and then they were talking to athletes about went vegan who have been healthier, stronger, fitter because of it. Joe Rogan got somebody on who was like, by the way, I've debunked all of this, and he was like, can I come on and talk to you? Somebody knows, like a doctor that he knows. Doctor came on, it debunked the whole documentary. They spent about 3 hours ripping the piss and debunking it. The guy that made the documentary, who again knows Joe Rogan personally because he was an MMA fighter, went, can I come on and talk about this? And can you bring the guy on as well? And they had a structured debate with the 3 of them where what happened was they started leaning towards the vegan guy's argument a bit more when he started bringing up some of the numbers and the science and everything else behind it. And it was lovely because Joe Rogan's never going to be a vegetarian. That's not who he is as a person. He is like alpha male carnivore type of guy. That's his whole thing, you know? But to listen to him, to listen to people let the other person speak their evidence without shouting at them that they're wrong was just a lovely thing that we don't see anymore.
Yeah. I think that is the key to any kind of like interview technique, is not to come into it with a stance of going against the person or trying to prove a point. You should always just be there to listen and then respond, like, because that's all stuff is these days, is people trying to look for a soundbite, if you know what I mean. Like they want to get that one answer out of someone so they can prove that they're polarized one way or another, you know. Like it's
a really tricky situation these days because everything can get taken out of context constantly. So
I'm going to take that out of context.
Just a sound bite of me just going taking that out of context.
So I'm trying to think if there's anything else to discuss. Oh, we didn't get a chance to discuss the Dune trailer. If anyone was interested in talking about that.
Not seen the Dune trailer.
Go load it up. We'll be 5 minutes.
Right. Okay. You watch Dune. We'll talk about it. You weren't a fan, were you?
Actually, no. What I can do is like just before that, then while he's watching the Dune trailer, we can talk about Justice League again. You know the Snyder cut still happening.
Do I have to like go and? Should I actually go and
go watch the trailer? Right, come on.
Should I go out of Skype or should I just
just mute and listen to your stuff?
It's fine. You'll be fine. Justice League trailer.
So
no.
I was saying like on top of that, like apparently the Snyder Cut thing is they're doing more shoots, right? Is what they said. But literally everyone who's involved is like, I'm not doing reshoots. I don't know what you're talking about. But Warner Brothers has come out and said they are. And you know the guy who played like Cyborg in the films, Ray Fisher? Like he's had this big fucking argue with him recently about Joss Whedon on whereby they were like kind of denying the ideas of what Joss Whedon was up to when they were reshooting, like saying that he was acting inappropriately and bullying people and all this kind of stuff. He came out and said, like, literally, oh look, Warner Brothers is at it again, spreading lies without anyone's consent when they're talking about the reshoots happening, and they're like, what the fuck is going on at Warner Brothers? Are they just trying to make up a weird narrative about these films and what's going on?
Is this just a thing of like, let's be slightly controversial so that people's eyeballs are on what's happening? See that way, we're doing reshoots. People tweet about it and things go around.
Yeah, but like, I don't think that's necessary when it's something like that's been tweeted about so much. Like, you know, this whole Snyder Cut thing.
When are they going to get Henry Cavill in? because I'm pretty sure he's in the process. Sure,
He's filming
right
The
now,
Witcher right
he's
now.
just came off of filming Ilona Holmes, that one. So I'm like, he's not got.
Yeah, the Netflix
So he's
one.
not got time to do that.
No, he says he literally said he
No.
doesn't have time.
And I don't think Ben Affleck
so
would
I don't
give a
know.
fuck at this point.
It's hard to tell where Ben Affleck is with the whole situation because he's been in and out so often, and all the rumors keep saying that he's planning on coming back, like for 2 films. But
what about Robert Patterson's? Then is that not a part of the DC?
No.
That's its own thing.
it's his own thing. Yeah, it's an entire trilogy
my
of movies that are
thank you.
standalone.
That's actually such a good thing to hear.
It doesn't even tie into Joker, like, so don't worry, it's not even that. Like, but so fucking nutty.
That's really weird. Oh, well, Michael's still watching trailer. How is your meditation going? Your practices? Did you do any today?
It's hard to do. I need to like throw my cat out, I think is the idea. Like,
yeah.
Because whenever I'm trying to do anything relaxing, I just hear either mowing at the door, scratching of something getting knocked over, and all that kind of stuff. It's really hard to switch off when there's so many outside stimulus. I need one of those isolation tanks, you know, sensory deprivation.
I looked into that. Like, the closest place to that is in Edinburgh. I always wanted to give it a try because I feel like it'd just be a really interesting experience. Like, see, cause I've got the dog and stuff. I've came to terms where I need music on, like headphones. I know I really shouldn't be doing. I should be doing it without in mindfulness. But right now, until I'm more practiced, I tend to put binaural beats on, which are just like a frequency in your ear. So what?
Oh, right, that would make sense. I
shall, because what happens is you've got a slight music tune, and what will go in one ear, it'll go wah, 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 and then the other ear it'll go wah, wah. And what it is it's equalizing the brainwaves, like your frequency.
Yeah.
And then you do feel weirdly chill. It's quite interesting, because like I was talking to Andy about meditation today, because all 3 of us suddenly are just like really been trying to figure this thing out. And he was talking about him trying to do it, and we got into the conversation of we're all looking at this transcendent end goal and not realizing the journey to get there is usually a 20-year journey for a lot of people, because it's more about your everyday life than this. It's that idea of, at least in my head, is everybody wants enlightenment, but realizing enlightenment's not the actual finish line, it's the start line, because it's a mindset change.
Yeah, it was because like I was going to tie that. We can tie that back into June in 2 seconds. Because I was watching David Lynch talk about his meditation stuff, and they said you've been doing this like pretty much most of your life, like since your 30s, sort of thing. And they were like, why is it just in the past like 5 years that you've been like really pushing it like outward to other people and stuff like that? And he was like, well, because when you find your own inner peace and creativity, and then you've got your own happiness, you start looking at the world around you and you see that other people are suffering in the same way and they can't see past that surface level. So he's like, what I want is to give everyone the ability to access this sort of information and this sort of stuff so that they can do it themselves. And actually, as a whole, we can come together as a group of people who are
That is the most beautiful Buddhist sentiment. I have a really nice anecdote, and it's like an old proverb. I wouldn't leave that proverb because there's some accounts say it's true. There was a Buddha called Bodhidharma, I think is how you pronounce it, who went to China, and he was a mad lad. He was just a mad Indian sage. And he was a bit dim, but in the best possible way. Like, he would rip the piss out the emperor, do stuff like that, but he was wise. Like, all that ripping the piss was actually to get through to you that the more serious you take it, the more further away you're getting. But his thing was, he reached enlightenment. He reached nirvana is the big thing. He was enlightened and he reached nirvana, and he said no to nirvana. And they were like, why did you say no to reincarnate again? Went, there's no such thing as I, so how can this me enjoy ultimate paradise when every other me is still suffering? I will not move on until suffering has ended. And that's such a lovely way, because the idea of we're all self-centered when it comes to spirituality a lot of the time. Yeah. We want...
Because it's introspective. That's the problem. Like, but it needs to be...
It's interesting. Like, when I was talking to Andy about it and about the journey, I was meditating. I was having a shit time of it. My mind was going mental. I was freaking stupid stuff. Had a moment where I felt the sun on my eyelids, and I started seeing like just a circle in front of me, and it was just the colours of the sun, and it was lovely.
Yep.
And I came away from it, I started writing, and I was writing super slow. And I was like, man, this is fucking, why am I writing so slow? And I realised that was my sign. The meditation slowed me down because I needed to slow down the process instead of looking at it this fucking hyperspace.
Like, give me an answer, take me to the
Exactly.
next level.
Because if it's the idea we try and conceptualize the thing that can't be conceptualized. Enlightenment, that word means nothing.
It's as again, like my favorite one that David Lynch was trying to explain. He just stands there in a room and he's holding a donut and goes, "This is the most delicious jam donut in the world." And you wouldn't know that unless you've eaten a jam donut. And he's like, so on the other hand, he's like, and here is transcendental meditation. You can't understand what it's like to get to bliss if you don't ever know what it is. So I can't explain it to you. Just hope that it's good.
Like, it's so fucking true.
So it's just like, yeah, I want a jam donut. Give me a fucking jam donut.
Jam donuts are good.
But yeah, so
Dune.
Have any of you watched Dune, the original Dune movie? No? I'd recommend it. If you can find it somewhere, give it a blast. It's not as bad as people make it out to be, but it is fucking ropey in places because it's trying to cram so much into such a small thing. It's kind of like watching an entire season of Game of Thrones in an afternoon.
That's quite an ordeal.
Yes. So now our good friend and regular on the show, Denis Van Elden,
yes,
is doing Dune. I want to hear what you guys think of the
trailer. I thought the trailer was okay. I have been told what the music means. Like it's a playback to the sort of like a quote in the film, and that's why it's the Pink Floyd thing.
Yep.
But I felt the music in that trailer, of the way that trailer was shot, was so out of place that I didn't feel right watching. I was like, I don't know what type of film this is. It's all these epic landscapes and big moments, right? And there has this weird music through it, and it just sets a weird tone for me. And I was like, okay. It didn't tell me nothing.
Okay. I mean, I like that you mentioned the epic landscapes, considering those epic landscapes contain
nothing in it.
Nothing. No, that's not even the point. It's like Arrakis, yes, the one planet. There's multiple planets in this world, by the way. I assume you're watching that trailer. That's all different planets. It's hard to fucking tell because the way this thing has been shot is that they're all barren and empty, and they have these fucking solid colored panels everywhere. Like there's a section where you see like a bunch of like target dummies and stuff like just lined up along the side in a room, and you're like, what? Because no one invented cupboards on your planet. Like no one has storage space because everything's just a fat fucking flat panel wall. You can't put stuff away. Like, who is this set designer that he keeps hiring? Like it's this exact same thing in Blade Runner.
Was pretty empty as well.
Like remember the bit where they go through Wallace's like offices and they go down that staircase and there's like 3 glass cabinets on this big fucking stupid staircase, and they're just like,
that's naked people.
Why is this room so fucking big? There's nothing here apart from 3 glass cabinets. You could have fitted 4 more offices in here. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, too funny. That's too funny.
It's just, what kind of designer does this shit? I heard the complaints about that with apparently the new Bill and Ted movie does that thing as well, where it's like, welcome to the new sci-fi where you walk for 15 minutes across a soundstage because there's nothing in this world that they've created. It's just empty space. And that's all it feels like to me, is like someone's on a soundstage somewhere and a green screen behind them. They're not in this room. They might be real sets for all I fucking know, but they're so badly designed that it makes me feel like they're empty.
So we know what Mark doesn't like about the trailer. Michael, did you enjoy the trailer?
I enjoyed it. It looks like, so I've not watched as many newer films as of late, but it looks different to a lot of stuff that's been coming out recently. It looks like a good sort of mix of genres, mainly action, obviously, but it looks like it's got the sci-fi in there as well. And lots of big names.
Yeah, a lot of big
Yeah.
names. I mean, I think they've gone the similar route, and this is the thing that's kind of bothered me a bit with the original David Lynch one, where you get kind of a slightly unknown actor as your main lead,
Yeah.
because it was like Kyle MacLachlan, and that was like his massive big role in the first Dune movie. It's Timothy Chalamet, I think his name is,
Yeah.
who's done like one notable film that was a Netflix film, really.
Okay.
So he's not a big name. So for him to be kind of like pushed in as the main character is quite a big thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's an interesting choice to do that. Considering they could have got actually anybody to do this because it's such a big budget film, and the other people that are assigned to it. So fingers crossed that he does a good job. I'd quite
I
like.
mean-
I like the idea of seeing an unknown.
Yeah, because
Well,
it
that's
helps
a
you.
very sort of it's a very sort of classical thing to do in cinema because like Mark Hamill was unknown
Yeah.
at his time, and he became one of the biggest sci-fi characters of all time.
Yeah, it's like I think if you can take someone who's enough of a blank slate for most people that they can imprint that character onto it, and that becomes them. You know, just standing there going, "Oh, it's I don't know, who actually else could you get to play this character? No one's young enough, are they?
No, actually, no. I couldn't think of anybody.
No,
Maybe that kid who plays Spider-Man.
I was about to say Tom Holland
Tom
was the
Holland
only other
was the
one
only
that really
young
jumped to
person.
mind.
Yeah,
Do you know what's weird about the Tom Holland thing? I'm pretty sure he's a good actor because he's done another serious thing that I've not watched yet that I'm going to
the
actually.
Netflix one.
Yeah.
that's
The,
just
the,
come out.
the devil all the time.
Yeah.
I think if you shoved him in on the poster of this, it's going to set the wrong image for a lot of people. Even though he could be the best actor for the role, everybody's going to go, Spider-Man? Why have they put Spider-Man in this?
Yeah, it would be like what you call it, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah,
After Twilight, like you would be like, no,
no.
that's the Edward Cullen guy. Like, not
Well,
interested.
It was the same with the Woman in Black. Everyone looked and was like, "That's Harry Potter."
Yep.
Like, and it's horrible because it's always like a series. They start off in a series of films, and then after that, it's just that's their character.
Yeah.
They can't be anyone else, and it's such a shame.
Yeah, Elijah
except,
Wood was a shame. As
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
Because Elijah Wood has like tried his damnedest to break that mold, but all he ends up doing now is just being typecast as a psychopath because, like, literally that's what he went for. Like, he was like, "All right, I'm going to play this absolute fucking madman in Sin City," like immediately afterwards, so that people will just be like, "He's not Frodo," and everyone's like, "Now you're typecast as a psycho, getting all the psycho roles."
well, he was also in what was it? This Is England was the other one he was in.
Yeah.
No,
Which is quite
no. It wasn't this. Is it? Was it not Green Street? This
That was it. Green
Yeah.
Street.
They came at the same time, roughly,
Yeah.
didn't they? I think?
Green Street's about the football hooligans.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is England. It's about the skinheads.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this England's a great film. On the note of sci-fi, big sci-fi epics, Apple TV doing the Foundation
Mhm.
series. That could be interesting.
I like so here's the thing. I don't know how Apple TV are functioning right now. Like I don't know how they go about stuff, but see if they only get one season out of this, it's going to be such a fucking wasted opportunity,
Oh,
right? Because you're going to
God,
get nowhere with it, right?
Yeah, because I've got it and I've read the book twice now because it's one of my favorite sci-fi series. It's the Foundation's actually 3 books in one, and that first one goes to I'm pretty sure it's like a span of like 150 years in the first kind of bit.
Yeah.
And every book is a completely different storyline, so you cannot do that over even like 3 seasons. That needs to be like a 10-season minimum show to even cover the nuances of what goes on in this world. Because it's the
Do you
rise
think
and
they'll
fall
maybe
of Rome.
do it like Witcher, where they're cutting back and forth between timelines and stuff like that, and maybe like trying to do them all at the same time?
Maybe, but I think like The Witcher wasn't the most complicated. Like once you clicked, you clicked. There's so much going on because it's a political drama. As I said, it's the rise and fall of Rome, but in space.
Yeah.
And then the amount of it's like trying to do Game of Thrones if you decided to do back and forward timeline of how did the Starks get here and how did the Lannisters get here, but we're going to play that at the same time as the Starks and the Lannisters waiting for dragons, and then still
Right.
doing the future because there's a lot of stuff happens 200, 300 years afterwards because it's about math at first. It's like mathematicians who can predict the future. So you get to figure out some of the future. So there's a lot going on in it. So I don't think they could get away with messing timeline stuff up. I think people are just going to be like,
That's what I'm saying. Is like, see if you're gonna do something of that level, you have to go into it like they're doing with Dune, where they're saying like we are doing 2 or 3 movies, like we're filming them all at once, and we're gonna have it like just edited, blocked out afterwards because it needs to be that way. You can't just say we're gonna start a sci-fi epic if you're not gonna finish it. You need to be signed up for at least like 2 to 3 seasons, so that you can get your.
Yeah, it'll take about 3 seasons just to establish the world properly because there's so much going on. There is, but again, I don't know how they're doing it. I've seen some of the trailer stuff on it, of like the behind the scenes of them making it. It looked cool, but again, anybody can make a sci-fi thing look cool. It's sci-fi; it inherently looks cool, in my opinion. Seeing stuff that's like, because they had this kind of almost Egyptian-y vibe with some of the old empire and stuff. Because it starts with an empire crumbling, and then the empire disappears, and then it's the rise of the new empire. And then it's the setup of that empire probably crumbling because the idea of these things will always happen.
Yeah.
If my memory serves me right on the book.
Oh, I just realized there is actually a real world example of building stuff that's just absolutely massive and has nothing in it. Pyramids.
Yes.
Like that's where he got his inspiration for every movie. It's just like make everything look like a fucking pyramid. Like whole bunch of nothing, but you're like, wow, that's big.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like what looks to be like your pyramid head cosplay behind you?
Pyramid head. Yeah,
Is it actual?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
If you save up enough points on his Twitch stream, he can make him wear it.
Yeah, I have to wear it while playing games.
Sure.
It's not easy.
That's a good laugh.
It's not easy being red.
Anybody else got anything they'd like to discuss? Anything else been happening?
I got a dog.
Oh my god, I forgot about your dog.
What's it called?
Right. It's called Reuben.
Like the cheesesteak or
like the sandwich. It's not a cheesesteak.
I'm pretty sure a Reuben's like a Philly cheesesteak, is it not?
It's right. A Reuben is pastrami, Swiss, sauerkraut, Russian dressing served on rye.
Oh, so it is. I got that wrong.
Yes.
Yes.
It's weird. It's a sandwich associated with being in kosher culture. However, it itself is not kosher because it serves meat with cheese.
Yes.
Bear with me, and I'll see if we can.
We get the full history of Reubens.
So I told one of the guys at work who I hadn't met before. I was saying to him like, "Oh, what's your passion? Like, what's your deal? Everyone in here loves football. What's your deal?" And he's like, "I love wrestling." And I'm like, "Right, cool, fair enough." Because I just like people can like what they like unless it's beyond the limit. That's fine. Like what you like. There's lines you have to draw.
Do you know what I like about that is the idea of you go up to someone and go, "So what's your passion? What do you like?" And then they just hit out with, I think I'm not going to say because out of context it's going to kill me.
Yeah.
On this, right?
Yeah.
But the idea of them being open about it, just like, I like this.
Yep.
I collect hamsters.
I like them. So he's like, I like wrestling, and I'm like, right, cool. And he's like, what about you? And I'm like, I don't know. If I had to think about like my number one, it'd probably be like Power Rangers or something, probably Power Rangers or Pokemon. He's like, wow, I have this massive desire to call you a nerd. And I'm like, we're gonna breeze past that one for you right now, because I haven't met you long enough yet, and I know I'm a nerd. Fuck you. So then I was finishing work the other day. I was like last week before I went on my week off. And I was like, I'm going to go home and see my new dog. And he's like, wait, let me guess. He's called something like Zordon or something like that. And I'm like, he's not named something stupid like that. He's named after a sandwich. And he's like, wait, like the creator of the sandwich? And I'm like, no, the sandwich. And he's like, oh. And I think he's starting to cotton on that I'm the weird one. Yep. I'm the token weird guy of work. But he can't get rid of me because I'm the only guy, I think I'm the only other guy in that entire fucking place that doesn't like football.
In my opinion, like, football fans are the biggest fucking nerds in the world. Like,
exactly.
Every single one of them knows every fucking stat. It's like, oh, he's going to be transferred from this club for like 45,000 this season, and he's going to be managed by this guy from that club who has this friend who's that. You're like,
You'll know what year they started. You'll know what how much they were sold and bought for. Okay, guys, we have a special guest on the stream tonight.
Yay!
We have a special guest.
Let's see it. Show me the sandwich.
He's coming. Here's the tastiest deli sandwich you ever did see. I got him. Mr. Boy.
Oh my god, that's so cute.
His name is Ruben.
Oh
Say
my
hi
God.
to the stream, Ruben.
Nothing. Hi, Ruben.
So are we got to do a pet stream where we just sit with our animals and then just leave?
Just take our pets on.
Mine won't sit.
Yeah,
It'll literally
Okay.
eat me alive.
just leave them
Right,
here and
we're
we, and
gonna-
we leave and just leave it on the stream on for an hour of just dogs staring at each other on camera, like, and your cat going, Mark.
Feed
Right.
me.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
let Ruben go because he was like napping like seconds ago. So I'm gonna let him go. Say bye, Ruben.
Bye, Ruben.
Chatty little
Take your-
pupper.
Oh.
take your baby.
So
The chattiest.
see, before we got Kenny, if I had to buy a dog not from the cat and dog home, I wanted a DAC sound,
Okay.
a dash sound, or
What's
whatever,
been danger nap? He's got 2 hours. Shit.
and I wanted to call it Rolling.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it'd be Rolling Sausage would be his full name, his official title.
Yep.
But we,
Wonderful.
but we got the cockeyed, mental wee dog.
Oh. But that's Ruben, guys. That's him.
That's too
Um,
much to handle. That is just too cute. Don't let Kenny hear
He's-
that.
It's great. His favorite thing to chew is the grass and my ankles.
Yeah, of course.
Nice. Yep. I get my toes eaten on the daily. It's pretty good.
Yep. Oh, it's so fun. It's so fun. I've got all the scars on my hands. This is great.
Got like
Um,
the tiniest one. I don't know if you can. Oh, where is it? I can't even get it on the camera.
Ah,
There we go.
there's
That
it.
one.
Ah,
Hey.
I don't.
but yeah,
My dog doesn't hurt me like that because it respects me.
It's just
Oh,
afraid of
stop.
everything, is what your dog is.
To be fair, he is.
Yeah.
he doesn't love you. These are love marks.
Yeah, I would rather be feared than loved.
Wow. Yeah.
To be fair,
that's-
I'm in that situation right now. I'd rather that cat just feared the shit out of me. Instead, it's like, I'm going to eat you. Just hurry up and die.
God.
Well, that's what cats do. Cats are monsters. If you die in your house, your cat will just eat you.
Well, might as well. Not going to waste, am I? Like, fuck that, man.
Exactly.
Cheaper than a funeral.
Yes, very true.
Well, I've requested I be tossed to the woods for the wolves.
Yes, in Scotland where there's no wolves. Good work.
Hey, not that
I
you
think-
know of.
Are they going to reintroduce them like some absolute mad bastards that they are?
Yeah, they were going.
That's what I
They
heard.
were going to do
I
that.
also didn't specify which woods.
What was going to happen was just a wood, like out the back. There's a couple of trees. That's a wood, right?
Exactly.
What they were going to do is up by Inverness way. They were going to introduce them because the deer population up there is unsustainable at the moment, and they thought,
Right,
oh,
wow.
we'll bring back natural predators. Problem is, people brought up the fact that they wouldn't stick to that part because the deers don't stick to that part. So, like, I went for a stag do, and there were deer like outside the
A
house.
stag do.
Oh!
Did you do any stags?
We don't talk about that.
What happens at the stag do stays at the stag do.
I didn't just get really drunk and then not go out the next day because I was so hungover after going clay pigeon shooting. Oh, the state. We were all absolutely fleeing or unbelievably hungover shooting proper guns. Like, who thought that was
Yeah.
a good idea? But that's when I found out putting red pepper hummus on a toasted potato scone is like one of God's gifts. It is so good.
And said you'll have that on a roll regularly.
Yes.
So you mentioned the deer population in the Highlands. Can I, like, being
Yeah.
unsustainable, can I ask you guys if you've heard of an amazing piece of history, Australian history,
Ooh.
called the Emu War?
Yes! Oh my god, I have. I watched the
Mark,
thing.
have you heard about this? Oh, Mark. Oh, Mark.
Please
It's
tell.
So joyous.
I can't even imagine. Emus are motherfuckers, right? Like
So-
they.
The population of emus in Australia was so large, it was just getting like too out of hand. So they were going to cull them. Like
Oh.
humans were just going to cull them. They were like, "This is something we have to do. Nature isn't going to act quick enough." So the
Get
humans
Rod
get
Hull.
together, and they're like, "Right, we've got our guns. We're going to go and shoot the emus." And the emus hid, stayed
Oh.
far enough away that the guns couldn't hit them. and also just outsmarted the humans in general.
Wait, is this the Vietnam War?
I
mean, pretty much.
Do you know what that sounds like? Jurassic Park with the clever girls moment, but it's just like hundreds of emus.
The Emu War, also known as the Great Emu War.
I like the minor Emu War, like the battles up to the Great War.
Only in Australia.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Overly Simplified did a series on it on YouTube that's really fun to watch, where he does like wee daft animation versions of it, and it's really funny. So look it up if you actually want to learn about it. It's good laugh.
Right. I think I will.
Right, so one of the last things just before we go, that just dealing with everything I was kind of dealing about with the meditation stuff, I listened to an interesting podcast called The Astro Hustle. What a name. And it was talking to a guy called Shinzen Young, who was one of the first people to study Japanese culture in America in like the 30s, 40s. So this was like before Alan Watts. Like everybody knows Alan Watts for Zen and all the quotey stuff that's on YouTube. So what it was, he had some Japanese friends, and that was not a thing to have at that time because of internment camps and whatnot.
Yep.
And there was a Japanese cinema, and he went to see a samurai film, and he did the most white guy thing possible. He seen Japanese culture and went, I'm going to be a samurai. Every
Is he Tom Cruise?
Yeah, everybody freaking did it. Like, you watch, you go, I'm going to be a fucking samurai. But what he did was, he actually went to normal high school and went to Japanese high school. They did like a weekend course, and he learned Japanese as a teenager, so he was fluent. The interesting part of this was he did the usual stuff that you think. He brought Buddhism, a lot of Buddhism in America. He brought a lot of meditation practices. That's all cool. The most interesting mental bit of it was when he was in university. So again, I think that would have been the late 40s, so still World War II's happening. The army paid for his Buddhism studies, so he could go and study Buddhism in China and things, because know your enemy. So they paid.
I was going to say, is it spy related? Yeah.
So basically, what it was is, it turns out the military do this a lot, where they want people to know the religious culture, so they know how to use it against them. So he was like, I wasn't doing none of this to do with the military. I didn't give them nothing. But basically, I got like 3 years paid for, where I could go learn something that was really out there in American culture, and he brought back a big bunch of like enlightenment training and Buddhist practices and all the stuff, and he lived in like a Buddhist temple and everything, funded by the US military. How mental is that?
Man, that's like that's the ultimate version of living off the state, isn't it? Like,
that's so batty, right?
Instead, all we do in Scotland is just like get the government to pay for us to go and get pissed every week.
Exactly.
Why weren't we paying for the government to teach us Japanese?
So cool.
And give us flights around the world, accommodation.
The thing that sold it for him though, but because his parents also got him a Chinese tutor when he was younger, so he was fluent in Japanese, and he knew quite a bit of Chinese, like certain aspects of Mandarin. So then when he went to university, he was guaranteed work because he was one of the few people in America that spoke Japanese fluently. So he already walked into like all these amazing opportunities because of it. And it's just a super interesting story, because when we think of how multicultural the world is, you forget there was people like this that made that possible. Because even though like Japanese and Chinese people were in America, they were not respected. Nobody gave a fuck about their culture. And then you had people like this who just went, when they were like 15, like, I'm going to be a fucking samurai, and then do it. And suddenly we all like learn about all the cooler bits of it.
The original weeaboo.
Yes! Oh my god. It's so true. But very interesting discussion with him when he talks about like early Zen practices and early meditation practices, and try to get that through to the most uptight people in the world, because it's all the people from, World War II in the 40s, where it was like,
hey, it's America. You can just tell people anything, they'll believe it, right? It's just, you want to start a cult? Oh, heck yeah. It was this Thursday? Yeah, let's go.
I still think we need to do what was that one that we watched and they went to Oregon? What was the name of the cult?
Wild Wild Country?
Yeah, what was the cult again? Do you remember?
The Bhagwan.
Bhagwan. Yes. Yeah.
What was the cult called? Because it was just, was it actually called anything, or was it just the cult of the Bhagwan Shari?
I think it may have just been Bhagwan's cult. But man, Still, that needs to be done. Interesting one to watch on weird fucking mental behaviour that just went completely under the radar. You ever heard of hot yoga? Where you turn...
Yeah.
Did you ever watch the documentary about that guy, the big fucking sex pest that he is, and the horrible human? Basically, he would just take the lassies in and sexually assault them and all this stuff, right? But the problem was, see, because he was that idea of hot yoga had to go through him. So, see, if you wanted to open up a studio, which a lot of people did because they were yoga teachers, and the actual yoga practices are brilliant, they all ended up going to his camp stuff. And it was just fucking disgusting. I'm like,
so it's a cult. Yeah, another cult.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, and it was just fucking horrible.
I mean, who owns the copyright and turning the heating up too much?
I know,
like,
right?
Fuck off! Like, just
that was like
get out.
That was like the React guys trying to copyright the word React. Remember that?
Oh my god, remember that?
Oh,
like,
fuck. That was something.
They should copyright fucking up children's childhoods. Like, that's what they should copyright.
Yes.
Fucking freak shows.
Oh, mental.
Let's exploit children. Can we get? No, sorry.
Out of context.
Out of context.
Woo!
It's like, honestly, like, the Fine Brothers should just be abolished. Like, there should be a criminal investigation against them.
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe they should get fined.
yep. Right.
Bravo.
Anyway,
Right.
on that.
Yeah.
Michael's the worst, and
Yes. Yes. Until...
I have sufficiently dropped the bar back down.
Yes. Okay, guys. So it's always a pleasure. We're always the worst. See you at some point.
You're always the worst. Fuck's sake, man.
Bye, everybody.
Catch us later.